Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Sorry for the technical difficulties there, but we are updating the links. You should see the latest link on our Discord as well as our Telegram now. And I am also updating on our X/Twitter. And let's get back to the fun. Maxim, you just joined. I think today, or not today, but this week has certainly been the kind of week that a lot of people have been waiting for. How are the markets looking on your end?
I might be a bit influenced. I was researching long term, and long term doesn't look good. But long term, like really long term.
Talking years, months?
Yeah, like beyond months. Like 3, 6, 12 months. But it's, the future is unclear. So let's talk maybe today on a bit shorter term, if we can find out. I did not spend yet much time on a shorter term, but yeah, what was my attention? It's just similar to what we discussed last time, I guess, that small hodlers, if even not every group, but still accumulating. No liquidation happened yet. No one taking profit yet. Yes, this was catch my concern. And then I was preparing presentation for behavior analytic frameworks, and I look into mean dollar invested age, which I remember in April when I was looking at it, was maybe the most kind of positive sign, which made me positive and saying, okay, we can still try to break high, because typically redistribution phase. Maybe you can show, you can share the screen.
Sure.
Yeah, Bitcoin, and then go down to mean dollar invested age. Yeah, exactly. So now increase and take maybe a bit longer time. So we see the last year. So redistribution started somewhere in October last year, I think, if I'm not mistaken. No, before it. It's already in process. Yeah, somewhere there it started.
Yeah, October is where it peaked and started to fall.
Exactly. Yeah. And typically it takes around 1 year redistribution process. Yeah, those who bought early, they keep giving, taking profits and giving to newcomers, new wave of hodlers. Some of them given selling earlier, some later in the cycle. And when we were analyzing it in April, and we say, doesn't look good because of network realized profit loss, people are not taking profits, and small hodlers were already buying, and big one were selling at the time. But this one looked okay because it was too short time. Redistribution process typically doesn't finish so fast. It just takes time. Because of, I don't know, it just takes time historically, and maybe it's nature how it works. And now, look, all this time it stayed flat. It means redistribution kept happening. There was no accumulation. Every time it was little bit accumulation, it get down and it get down. What's redistribution? Now we are almost 1 year through, and we are getting now in a real danger zone. Because 1 year, you see, it's increasing. It means people start accumulating again. And we know from analyzing, it's mostly like small wallets buying. So now I'm start looking to it more cautiously. Yeah, but it's there are some good signs too. On a short time frame, if you look more carefully, there are some good, especially in Ethereum. You see that demand for money is not much, borrowing less, and rates are less. So it's a kind of mix, but long term, unless it changes, and we see again next wave for redistribution, how it was in May. We saw we were increasing, so start to accumulate market participant, but then there was this big wave when redistribution happened. I think it was maybe even from Mt. Gox. So anyway, there was some velocity, and some Bitcoins from very old age came to the hands of new hodlers. Yeah, this happened. So if it doesn't happen in the next week or two, it will become not good at all. Whatever the short-term volatility movement will be. So that was my outcome when I look into it carefully in the morning.
Yeah, it sounds, I think your analysis is about on par with mine. One thing that we should note is equities and gold are thriving right now, but Bitcoin is staying stuck in neutral. And to me, that's a concern, right? Because we've had a consistent correlation with stocks for pretty much the last 2 to 3 years. And this rally where the S&P is starting to push toward a new all-time high, getting very close to where it was at the beginning of the month, Bitcoin is not sticking with it. You know, unlike here, where you had Bitcoin going up in tandem with the S&P, you know, we see this dip next to the S&P. They go down together. No surprise there. But then this rebound has been huge, along with gold, which is seeing new all-time highs. And crypto still is sitting right around 57.5 to 58.5. I guess from what I'm seeing right now, Maxim, a lot of the money's going into altcoins. And, you know, that's obviously not a recipe for long-term success. But I do think we'll see a couple weeks, assuming the S&P stays afloat, where we do have some various altcoins start to make up for some lost time. That's kind of where I'm seeing some profits redistributed right now.
Possible.
But of course, you know, we don't do direct predictions, especially for the short term. Anything can happen, and we have to give everyone that notice that, you know, we're not fortune tellers here. We simply use our metrics to kind of weigh the probabilities based on what has happened historically the last times we've seen these patterns. But you can see clearly here on this screener, just enormous rebounds for a ton of different altcoins right now. And I'm just worried that Bitcoin isn't climbing along with them, right? Because if Bitcoin suddenly falls to 55 and we're here next week, all of these big green bars might be the exact opposite direction.
Yep.
So in terms of overall volume, I also want to point out a huge drop this past week. This is really rare. So we see huge rebounds for many altcoins here in the top 100, yet the overall volume among these assets, or among the 3,000 plus assets that we track, is down 32% compared to the week prior. And the week prior wasn't anything that special. It just means that the amount of trading going on, especially with Bitcoin kind of stuck in neutral, isn't picking up despite all of these altcoin rallies. And we've seen evidence that, at least on the exchanges, traders are not believers in this rally at all. We may see sentiment very much turning bullish, which is great, but the funding rates for assets like Bitcoin and Ethereum, they're actually being shorted right now. So it's a very strange contradiction. And that's what the latest video I made is all about. So I recommend people check that out. Also, the video I made about the US presidential debate, which, no matter where you are in the world, you know, this isn't me just being biased from America. This is a global phenomenon and something that is undoubtedly impacting markets right now, along with the CPI report that came out less than 24 hours after the presidential debate. So both of these things had tremendous impacts on the markets. I want to look at just the last week really quick to show you this. Let's see. So this was when the debate was, and I think a lot of people had a negative reaction to it, whether you're on the Trump side or Kamala side. Both kind of came away a little bit concerned with their own candidate. And then the CPI report came out, and in real time, this is, if you look at the top left of my screen to look at the time, this is right when markets opened in my time zone here in California. And all of a sudden the CPI report just pushes everything up significantly. This is the S&P right here in teal, and it hasn't stopped yet. Along with gold, they've just been ripping, even though Bitcoin had this mild run and then kind of just stopped. So the two things that seem to be impacting markets right now are both very America-centric. And of course, there are so many other factors, but news-wise, they have been the leading stories that traders are sensitive to. And I would expect going into the next debate, which I believe is something around 3 weeks from now. People in the chat can correct me if I'm wrong on that. that's probably going to have a similar sensitive impact on the market. So keep that in mind as well. And then as far as whales and sharks are concerned, I still see this as a pretty good sign. This is the past 6 months. I know this is off the axis, but you get the idea. The last 6 months has been a pretty strong pattern of accumulation from wallets with at least 10 BTC in them. Over the past 6 months, they have accumulated a total of 65,629 approximately Bitcoin, good for a 0.41% increase in their total bags. Meanwhile, stable coins are going down, so you can clearly see that they're swapping the stable coins here, USDT and USDC respectively, for more Bitcoin. Now it's more flat here in September so far, but we can at least say that we're not seeing anything like this, because if the 10 plus BTC wallets actually start to fall, price tends to do the same shortly after. So keep that in mind. And let's see what else. Check this out, guys. So this is a breakdown. For some reason, these two aren't showing. Let me refresh. It's looking at the 50 to 55K level, 60 to 65K level, and 70 to 75K level, all on the same axis here. The blue here, you can clearly see almost perfectly signals when markets bounce. You can see that faint green line in the background representing Bitcoin's price. Perfect bounce here, perfect bounce here, perfect bounce here. You may say it's because the prices were actually approaching 50 to 55 during that time. So of course people are talking about it more. Well, yeah, but there's a lot of times when that's not happening and prices are still bouncing significantly, even if prices are in the 60Ks. So similarly, you can look at the 70 to 75K level as a greed signal, like here, or even, let's see, where 70 to 75 is most prominent. Even right here, you see this tiny little yellow spike? That was an anomaly. We weren't anywhere near 70 to 75K, yet we start to see people dreaming about new all-time highs, and we top almost instantly here on August 23rd. So right now, as it stands, 50 to 55K is very low. So people have more or less stopped talking about that scary support level that we last saw about a month ago when markets crashed pretty significantly. So 60 to 65, not really picking up. 70 to 75K, not picking up. Basically, all of them are very low. So people are not speculating about price much at all right now relative to the recent past. And you can even break it down and see that, you know, Reddit is down significantly. Telegram, absolutely. Twitter has a little bit of a pickup on the 60 to 65K level, which is concerning. You don't want to see that when the prices haven't reached that level yet. 4chan is actually a little more fearful. You see these dark blue lines, they're representing 50 to 55, which is interesting. Bitcoin Talk, very low. Farcaster, pretty neutral at the moment. Maybe a little bit biased towards 60 to 65 once again. But from what I'm seeing here, Maxim, and I'm curious on your thoughts, the sentiment is fairly silent with a little more of a bullish bias than we've seen for at least the last couple of weeks. What do you think?
Yeah, this is, it became more, how to say, dramatic. People easily get activated for the drama topic. And of course, there is a lot of quite some visible FAT for the Ethereum and Vitalik. But yeah, generally it's more positive again. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems to be, but
it can go higher on the sentiment. It's not extremely positive. That's fine. Just to make sure that whenever I'm thinking about bearish outcome of what I saw this morning while analyzing, it's not short time at all. So we can easily go up on the sentiment one more week. It's fine. Yeah. But it's turning positive, not extreme. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Extreme, it will be relatively easy to see when we see again on media. Yeah, mostly Cointelegraph. If we notice day by day, or let's say 2 days one after another, we see positive predictions or some post about innovations here and there. You know, okay, we're getting extreme again. But now it's not the case yet. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And it's also notable that the dominance toward Bitcoin in terms of discussion rates, super low right now. Altcoins have
which typically is good for Bitcoin.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And, you know, with altcoins returning these kinds of gaudy percentages over the past week, it totally makes sense why the social volume is, or especially the dominance is what it is right now. If I make this on a weekly scale, you can really see the illustration of how much it has dropped. I'll take off social volume here. I mean, look at this compared to what it was in February, March, and April. Of course, the all-time high was here the second week of March, and the dominance toward Bitcoin has just been declining ever since, as people have, you know, piqued their interest more toward Solana at times, XRP, Tron recently with its new meme coin applicator. Lots of different things that have distracted traders and given them more attention on more speculative assets out there. And speaking of speculative assets, we can take a look on the trending coin list. And Bitcoin is nowhere to be seen right now. We have UOS, the word ultra trending, primarily due to its repeated association with a blockchain ecosystem and various activities related to minting NFTs. So that tells you a lot right here. The number one asset is related to NFT minting. Elon, number two. You guys remember 2021? It wasn't Elon itself, but it was Dogecoin. But I remember toward the end of 2021, Dogelon was starting to get a lot of attention. And that ended up being kind of a top signal. When you see Elon Musk and his speculative assets starting to get a lot of traction, it means there's a sense of a gambling mentality going on in the crypto community crowd. Doesn't mean we're going to top tomorrow. I want to make that clear. But the mood has understandably switched over to altcoins because Bitcoins look like this and speculative assets are pulling 15 to 30% gains over the past week. So it's only a matter of time until traders kind of just switch over. And sorry, I stand corrected. Bitcoin is number 3 on the trending list. So let me take that part back. But you can see on the AI summary, it says it's mostly about institutional interest, significant purchases by companies. You have the bearish summary, which is actually quite substantial right now. They include things like minor capitulation, which we actually just...
Really? Actually, you remember we just talked about a few days ago.
I posted.
Someone posted actually chart taken from our data that miner are decreasing their holdings, and I was noticing, oh, actually it's a bullish sign, because when the miners decrease, the main reason why they do it, they think the price will go even lower. So they need to keep running their business, so they will realize profits or just sell it at the price when they think it's a good price. So historically, of course, it's not the only metric, but whenever I see miners are selling, say, oh, interesting bullish sign. So exactly, I almost forgot when we talked a few days ago about it, that minus capitulation, it's a good bullish sign. Interesting, and AI puts it, of course, AI has no predetermination, and if you read text per se, it looks bearish. Yeah, cool. That's cool.
Yeah, it says there are concerns Bitcoin miner capitulation has reached critical levels reminiscent of the period when Bitcoin was valued at 16K. That was, of course, during the FTX collapse in November 2022. And
so
it suggests...
Yeah, finish. No, finish.
This suggests that miners who play a crucial role in the network security and transaction validation are struggling to remain profitable, which could lead to increased selling pressure. So I guess they're saying that in current conditions, mining is less profitable than usual, meaning they have a more likely chance of shutting down, and that can lead to selling pressure and some downside price action.
Yeah. Yeah, but we need to be more cautious. There is a chance. If it's a reason number one for being bearish, when I look at it with the eyes of behavior analytics, it actually looks quite bullish. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if a ton of if a lot of people are talking about this, that's actually bullish. If that becomes like the mainstream narrative, right? But this is, of course, just the bearish summary, so it's not the overall summary.
Yes,
They're specifically handpicking the ones that are the subjects that are most negative on the crowd's mind right now.
And for
price prediction.
Sorry for interrupting. One probably last time. For all people on the stream, seeing, looking how we analyze it, keep in mind the reason when we created AI summary categorization tool, we want to know why people who are posting, communicating, chatting, exchanging opinions believe something is bearish or something is bullish. Yeah, this is not a statement from our platform or from us that the coin is bearish and bullish. No, you read it and you need to apply your way of analysis. We have our behavior analytics, and we did it to make it work for us better. So whenever we see there is a bearish summary, and it makes reason, it's rational, and it's easy for people to believe in it, you say, okay, so if majority have consensus, in this case, Bitcoin is bearish because of minor capitulation and a selling pressure, we say, okay, we do opposite, we are bullish. Yeah, so always keep in mind, and also it's never just one indicator. You just build your quite complex picture of the world of Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies. Is quite complex, and it's keep changing. So you piece by piece, you make your opinions, and you make a call for you whenever time comes. And better don't do calls too often, or you'll get exhausted. Okay. Anyway, yeah. Now continue, guys.
Yeah, good point. I think that too much overthinking, especially on a shorter term time frame, has ended up burning a lot of traders. So that's why a lot of our focus is on more of the mid or long term. But a few of the other bearish summary topics, and Maxim, please feel free to interject. I really don't mind it at all. I think it's good to hear your opinion when something pops up here. Price predictions, targets as low as 44K being mentioned, lack of transparency. I think they're referring to.
It's strange to hear about Bitcoin.
Yeah, CBBTC accused of lacking proof of reserves. Do you know anything about that?
I think it's Coinbase, a wrapped Bitcoin, which they want to replace from originally wrapped Bitcoin, VBTC. Okay.
Got it.
Yeah, there is a lack of transparency indeed.
And then we've got regulatory concerns, always a looming issue for the US government, of course, but also China has been in the news about regulation a lot over the last decade, really. They even have Ethereum's performance as a relation to Bitcoin's bearish summary. Ongoing decline of ETH against Bitcoin over the past 2 years raises questions about the overall health of the crypto market. That's interesting. And then just regular technical analysis as well. So that's all just bearish summary topics. And if we flip the topic over to bullish summaries, we've got much different subjects here. The leader being unique narrative and themes. And look at this, Dogelon. Oh, I'm sorry, my mistake. Clicked on the wrong one. It's like, why is Dogelon being mentioned among Bitcoin? So here we go. Price momentum. Of course, the upward trend is being talked about a lot. BTC just grinding up day after day reflects a positive outlook on its price trajectory. MicroStrategy's recent acquisition of another 18.3K worth 1.11 billion. So that's bolstered some confidence in Bitcoin's value, according to our AI bot. Technological developments, CBBTC being mentioned again. This is the Coinbase wrapped Bitcoin, which is an ERC token backed one-to-one by Bitcoin. We have general market activity talks, positive sentiment from influential figures. So here we go with US politics again. Comments from notable figures, including Donald Trump's endorsement of crypto, contribute to a more favorable perception of Bitcoin. The narrative that Bitcoin is a forward-looking asset compared to traditional banking systems resonates with many investors. More about technical indicators and general community engagement. So substantial meaty topics on both sides of the coin right now for the bearish and bullish summary. And, I think that traders are naturally kind of contradicting themselves right now with a little bit of a bullish summary or bullish bias on social media, but a bearish bias in terms of open interest and margin and leverage trades. And maybe we can take a look at that for a sec. So funding rates, I think it's down here on my template.
You have a lot of charts.
Here we go. I have way too many, I know. So if I just hide everything except BitMEX.
Some red, what is this red? Is it only BitMEX? Okay.
No, both of them. So BitMEX is a little more extreme. Let's just zoom into the last month. So
that's quite
always. Okay. Yeah, there's definitely a bearish bias. And we posted about this yesterday on X. And I did a quick analysis on it, but BitMEX, pretty strong shorts at the moment.
The more I look into it, the more it looks, so at least in short term, it's quite bullish.
I agree. Yeah, that's kind of my take too.
Too many people spreading, enough people spreading negative sentiment, and at the same time shorting the market. Often market try to punish it. It has to be liquidated. And it has to turn green, I would say,
Yeah. I mean, compared to what we saw here at the top, you can see how there's just a healthy amount of longs versus shorts. Yeah. It even got extreme here as people tried to buy the dip.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Maxim.
No, it's correct. Like this level is a normal, which was around the top.
Yeah. So both BitMEX and Binance seeing big shorts right now, not especially on BitMEX. I mean, this is about as big of a short to long ratio as we've seen in the past month. If we even go back 6 months, yeah, this is about as big as it's gotten on the BitMEX side. Outside of maybe this short part right here, which was a local top as well. So yeah, funding rate is a very good contrarian signal, guys. If you see an extreme amount of longs, it means that the likelihood of a top is much more likely and liquidations can send the prices down. If you see an extreme amount of shorts, then the chances of a rise is more likely and those shorts can send prices up. So that's the summary of funding rates right now. And this is how a lot of coins look. It's not just Bitcoin.
Especially when we just read that there is a consensus or sounds very logical and rational topics that miners are liquidating. So if you combine it, you can assume, okay, some traders did get short on this sentiment, which often works in opposite direction. Yeah? So it's a combination of combining here social and derivative data. I wonder actually, continue. You want to show something?
Yeah. So this is just the overall ratio of positive versus negative comments. And these are 3-day candles. So it's kind of just taking into account Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at the time I posted this. This is the most positive ratio of comments we've seen all year long. So social volume may be a bit down right now, which is why the weighted sentiment doesn't look super extreme. But if we just take into account the existing comments now versus the past, the amount of comments that are positive versus negative shows an overwhelming amount of positivity right now. There's more than double the amount of positive bullish comments according to our algorithm compared to negative bearish comments. And we haven't seen that all year long. So that's another reason why on the sentiment side, we're seeing a pretty big contradictory picture compared to what the funding rates show. And I mentioned Ethereum here too, Maxim. I think the only reason ETH isn't way up here with Bitcoin is because of the Vitalik drama. And a little bit of bearishness that's come with that. So the altcoin community is kind of pretty upset at him, while the Ethereum community, understandably, is kind of sticking with him and defending him a little bit. Otherwise, they wouldn't be part of the Ethereum community, right? So it's funny how these types of issues work when it comes to, you know, a founder allegedly selling assets and getting a lot of heat for it. Let's see. So we're about halfway into the call. We still got plenty of time. Total amount of holders. Let's look at a few of them at the same time here. I've got a template for that. It's weird. Oh, we'll look at them one at a time. It seems to only want to load BTC at the moment. So Bitcoin's total amount of holders. This is kind of a reflection of what the smaller holders are doing. And we can take a look at kind of the specific small tiers in a moment. But as you would imagine, the vast majority of the amount of non-empty wallets on any network, let alone Bitcoin, it's going to be comprised primarily of really small wallets. And over the past, call it almost 2 months now, we've seen this line rise pretty consistently. A little bit of a downturn here right after the crash. I think a lot of people sold on this rebound, expecting this to be kind of the top, and actually a lot of them were right. But you can see overall, the amount of non-empty wallets net-wise has grown by about 624,000 BTC.
Not bad.
Yeah, and ideally, we don't want to see too much growth. Like this aggressive growth happening back here from mid-May to mid-June, that was a signal that a top was coming because people were aggressively accumulating here, expecting that the all-time high would be breached once again after it did back in March here, right on the edge of my screen.
The best setup, actually, it was happened thereafter when the price started declining, and there was quite intense sense of fear. You see that the amount of addresses kept declining even, or especially after the price recovered, because they saw it probably as a chance to take profits. So this is how I want to see. And now see price increasing and the wallets increasing. Even though, to be honest, you see, let me see the dates. I think it's maybe like 10th of July. There was a small spike in addresses too. You see, like it increased a little bit and then start declining. And maybe if you see now price goes up by 2,000 or 3,000 Bitcoin and we see this accelerating decline now, this is okay. We say, okay, it turned to be bullish signal. But as it stays now, because it's been accumulating or increasing over a long time, yeah, it doesn't look so good. Actually, now combining everything, I would rather say we short-term bullish, but then we go down again.
Yeah.
Or we should stay ourselves because of this minor liquidation. Okay, that's a good environment. Price can go up. And also derivative, which trying to short market, okay, they will need to be liquidated, so price will go up. And but looking into this chart to say, okay, but the long term, it's not sustainable.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think the growth is concerning, and it seems to continue whether prices are really dropping fast or growing. I was surprised to see the level of addresses maintain itself through the big crash in early August, and now it's pretty much growing.
Yeah, buy the dip.
Yeah, exactly. So unlike here where people were selling the dip, now they're kind of buying the dip.
True.
Let's take a look at a few others for this same chart. So on the Ethereum end, it's just a constant uphill growth pattern pretty much for the duration of
Ethereum, because there are so many use cases.
DeFi, right?
Everything like DeFi,
Staking,
L2, and all the stuff happening on L2, which then being also dumped down on Ethereum mainnet. Yeah, here is difficult. It will keep rising. Doesn't matter what the market is.
There are still like seldom exceptions. So like if the amount of addresses actually start to flatten out, that's a sign of serious capitulation like we saw in mid 21, but
if we
really not much sense.
We need to keep in mind, if we see it again, very strong buy signal.
Yeah, exactly. And then a few others here. XR.
Brian, do we have a miner holding for miners on Ethereum? I don't remember. If we still have...
We do.
Yeah?
Yeah, it was in my post yesterday. My supply held by miners.
Correct.
So huge accumulation from May and then peaked in January. And this was right when the ETFs were announced. So super interesting here. Huge accumulation going into the ETFs and then big sell-off. And it's kind of flattened out ever since.
It's really flat. Okay. So not much signals there.
And we can put Bitcoins on top of this chart to compare. And they've been quite flat, if not going down, going back to the beginning of the pandemic, really. So quite interesting to see how there was just this huge run up of Ethereum being accumulated. And I think part of this was the merge, if I'm not, no, I take that back, because the merge was September 2022. So this was all leading up to the anticipation of the eventual Bitcoin ETFs. And then Bitcoin's miners actually accumulated a little more aggressively after. So I think there was, from what I'm seeing here, there was a run up of more Bitcoin mining after the ETFs were announced. And so people stopped holding Ethereum, the miners, and then started accumulating more Bitcoin instead temporarily. And then they realized, okay, maybe the ETFs aren't that big of a deal. And they've both been flat ever since.
Yeah, okay, possible.
I'm curious if there's others like Toncoin. Yeah, we've got Toncoin supply held. Let's get rid of the others.
But it will be a wrapped Toncoin on Ethereum, yeah? It's not from Tonchain. Still can represent at least increased activities would mean something.
Right. Nothing on XRP. Any other assets you may want to check out for mining while we're here?
Let me see. We do have...
we could do Tether.
Yeah. Do we have... By the way, is Doge running on its own chain or not yet? Somehow I don't remember. Or is it still...
I think we only have it for Ethereum, just like Ton.
Okay.
But yeah, we do see something here. There was a big run up during the August meme coin craze, so that could mean something. Very interesting pattern. It's interesting. There's a big dump right at the base of the rally beginning. Oh, this is Ethereum's price though. Let me switch to Doge. Yeah, so there's a huge dump by miners, and then all of a sudden the entire crypto market goes nuts here. And then they started accumulating right before or during the dump. So this might be a good contrarian signal. I've never really looked into Dogecoin miners.
Yeah, and Doge is not doing much. It's a kind of OG for meme coins, but yeah, who knows?
Yeah, it's down. Yeah, its price is down about half since April.
I wonder, miners, when we take coins like Doge, or if we take Chainlink, what will be definition of miners there? Will it take Ethereum miners and see in their wallets how much they hold a Chainlink, or how is it done?
Yeah, that's a good question
Looks-
for
yeah, yeah.
our data science team. I'd be curious too. Chainlink has a very interesting pattern. Right after the dump, there was a big accumulation, and then they dumped themselves in early September. Hey Max, so we're about 15 minutes till our end. Maybe you can let us know if there are any comments, and we can read a few viewer recommendations, if there are any. Paging Mr. Barash.
Yeah, Mr. Bullish. Oh yeah, he's asking in the chat, I see it.
Okay. No problem. Maybe we can look a little more at the social trends. So again, CBBTC is the #1 topic. MicroStrategy, we saw why with their big $1.11 billion accumulation. Dogelon popping into our top 10. Bitcoin, what's the latest on XRP? I saw something about the ETF potential announcement.
Yeah, of course. Why not to use this narrative to pump your favorite XRP?
Grayscale announcement of launching the first official XRP trust in the US, allowing accredited investors direct exposure to the XRP token. So this follows their victory over the SEC. That was a while ago, though. Potential for trust to evolve into an ETF has generated discussion. So this is all speculation right now. I don't know if XRP is pumping at the moment at a special rate. No, it's actually trailing the markets at the moment, while the rest of the markets are pumping right now. But this could be a buy the rumors, sell the news situation. I wouldn't be surprised if XRP sees a bit of a solo run temporarily, especially if the rumors really heat up. And then if it's announced, you might end up seeing a disappointing run of prices where everyone thinks prices are going to spike and they don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that was kind of what we saw with Bitcoin and
By the way,
Ethereum.
we can go to XRP and see what is the founding rates there. If it, sometimes it comes together as a reaction from speculators, but let's see. I don't expect much. Yeah.
So on Binance, let's see just the last month.
Nothing.
Not too special at all. BidMEX, nothing special either.
Okay. Then
Yep.
Okay.
If we just check weighted sentiment while we're here. Yeah, look at that. So even though there's a lot of hype about it, it's not translating into the funding rates with any meaningful degree. Curious on open interest. That reminds me. So I've got this chart. And we can look at Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana open interest. I'll take off the shared axis.
Yeah, just to see the changes here.
Yeah, Bitcoin's is going up quite rapidly, actually. So the opinions about Bitcoin are becoming more extreme, whether it's longs and shorts. As we saw, there is more shorting than longing at the moment, at least on Binance and BitMEX. So that's contributing heavily to this rising open interest.
Yeah.
Ethereum kind of similar, but not growing quite as much. And then Solana very recently just started to see a little bit of a climb.
Yeah.
Let's see if there's a few others we can check out. Beginning with XRP while we're here. Yeah, big run up here. So funding rates may be neutral, but I would fathom to say that the Grayscale news that came out yesterday contributed to this super large spike that happened all of a sudden. That's huge. So tons of open interest toward XRP, even though it's not showing any direct bias toward bullishness or bearishness yet. What else? We mentioned Chainlink. Let's take off all the others so it doesn't get too noisy. Yeah, Chainlink, big growth there as well. Lots of funding rates are starting to heat up right now, and I think this has a lot to do with the altcoins' performance over the past week. Cardano, always a very popular social media one. Very little open interest toward Cardano. That's interesting. Is the price on Cardano right now? Yeah, I mean, it's had its run-ups between the 6th and today, the past week. It's up about 14% or so price-wise. Ton, the one that we still think has a little more downside because of its huge run-up. Yeah, Ton is actually going down as of late. One thing I haven't looked at yet is the MVRVs, which is usually a staple of our shows. So let me get to that. All right, so 30-day MVRV for Bitcoin. We're in the negative, just barely, but it's close to going positive. You can see how low it got. This was a great buy signal when the 30-day MVRV was down at -9%, and the 365-day was down at -6%. It's been really rare over the past year for the 365-day MVRV to be in the negative. Look at this. There are only a few moments, once here during the early August crash, and then once during the more mild early September crash. These are the only two times in the last year that we've seen the 365-day MVRV go into the negatives. And the more negative you get, the better the bias signal theoretically is, because you'd be buying into other long-term traders' pain. So sure enough, both times that it just barely dipped into the negative range, we see a quick bounce. You know, I wouldn't expect to see huge 50% plus 365-day MVRVs anytime soon, or even over the course of history as Bitcoin gets bigger and bigger. But as long as it's staying low like this, very close to even, or especially if it goes back negative, that's a good sign. 30-day wise, yeah, I mean, we're right back at even after the recovery that we've seen over the past week. Ethereum, while we're here, on both. Yeah, Ethereum's actually looking a lot better in terms of potential buy signals. This is about as low as we've seen the long-term trader returns over the past year.
Yeah.
So at least comparing Bitcoin to Ethereum, this shows a little more upside for Ethereum if markets can start to stabilize. If they don't, then I'll still favor Bitcoin, because that's the asset that gets the least amount of pain during bearish climates. XRP, yeah, they're both slightly positive right now. I want to look at Doge. Yeah, Doge is quite negative as well. Negative 17% returns over the past year. Got it, Balresh. We can look at VELO and a few of their metrics in a moment. Also curious on Elon, since it's trending right now. Yeah, I mean, Elon has not had a good performance since the all-time highs that were happening in mid-March. Its price is down. It's been cut in 2/3. It's down 66% since its all-time high back in March. And now its long-term MVRV is way down at -32%. Short-term is at -2.5%. So the meme coin that's in the news right now, you know, if you're a gambler and you think you can time any short-term gains that might happen here, there's something that's suggesting Elon could have another run if the crowd decides to latch onto it. Who knows if you're part of that trading group that is going to actually influence or not? But you know, this would be the kind of meme coin setup based on its trending news right now, while prices are moving down, that could have some interesting volatility over the next couple of weeks. All right, let's close it off with VELO. Thank you for the requester who wants to take a look. I want to mention that VELO is not an ERC20, so we're mostly just going to look at volume and the social perspectives toward it right now. And in terms of trading volume. By the way, we're getting some happy birthday messages for Petra. Shout out to Petra, our HR representative here at Santiment. She's amazing. And if you haven't spoken to her yet, chat, I recommend it. Trading volume. Mostly kind of going in this cyclical cycle. I'm not seeing anything special here. VELO over the past, let's zoom into the last 3 months here. So it has gone on a pretty good run ever since its crash that was crypto wide back on August 4th. The price has doubled. Yeah, it's up 99% since the August 4th crash. So pretty good run that it's had, and I can see why people are interested in it. Trading volumes had its moments, but I'm not really seeing anything that's influencing price at the moment. And then let's check out the social perspective. Okay. So social volume wise, there have been a few moments. This was, of course, the big retrace for VELO that happened here. And I presume that there was an increased amount of talk around potentially buying the dip here. And for the most part, the amount of social volume that went on did justify that a dip buy could happen and be successful. But social volume really isn't showing anything too significant there at all. Let's change to weighted sentiment for a moment. Yeah, outside of this anomaly spike where the weighted sentiment was over 7 on the standard deviation scale, it's kind of just gone right back to neutral. But we can do one other perspective, which is probably going to be my favorite. We're going to overlay positive and negative sentiment here. Interesting. Yeah, so check out how huge that spike was of negative sentiment and how it correlated with this dip. Let me see if I can get it even more granular. Price at 2 hours. All right, so we see this huge surge in negative sentiment as prices are falling. They continue to fall a little bit longer, and then one more big negative sentiment spike here might have signaled a local bottom. I kind of like the look of this with the negative sentiment so high, but positive sentiment, you can see there's really been nothing other than a anomaly spike here in late August. So VELO's negative sentiment is actually quite prominent right now, indicating that the crowd FUD is high and the likelihood of a bounce rises. It doesn't mean we're going to see another 99% run over the next 5 weeks like we did from early August to now, or before this crash, I should say. But I like the look of the negative reaction to this dip for VELO and how much people are worried by it and likely selling off their bags. I wish we had like total amount of holders and a few other things, but this big picture that the crowd is frustrated and showing FUD. So thank you for the request on VELO. I love looking at more niche assets that aren't talked a lot. I know it's been in the social trends top 10 a little bit over the past few weeks. And it's the 290th ranked market cap. So it's still pretty under the radar unless it's being talked about in the kind of mainstream social media. But yeah, I think this is a good time to cap it off, guys. I appreciate the enthusiasm and the chat going on. But let me know what else you guys might want to learn about. Leave it in the comments, and I'll try to make a couple more videos over this next week to keep you updated on the latest and greatest happenings. Any final words from you, Maxim?
Just a summary that short term, and actually, as we've been speaking, Bitcoin did jumped. So the short sentiment and situation with derivative negative founding does allow, and we see it now, Bitcoin to go up. But longer term, unless we see the change in behavior of small hodlers, if they start decreasing, we're still in a not so good situation. But we can revisit it next week to see if they changed or not. And I was, at the same time I was, as you were analyzing VELO, I took time to check long-term Ethereum against Bitcoin, because there are a lot of, quite a lot of negativity towards Ethereum, which is not usual. You don't usually see it, so it means something. And in the long term, I think we're closing to end downtrend Ethereum against Bitcoin. Really can happen in the next weeks or months. So we should see a reversal up, and maybe some final blow towards Ethereum, whatever it might come, or maybe just enough what we have now. So keep it in mind. In some 3 to 6 months, betting on Ethereum against Bitcoin might get good. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Bitcoin back at 59K for now. Ethereum is back over 24 officially right at this minute.
Almost, yeah, 24, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So there might be some legit FOMO that comes in. We're going to see how the crowd reacts to this, and expect some social media posts from me today, guys. And I think this is an exciting time, a very polarizing time, kind of an equal amount of bulls and bears. So excited to see how this plays out. And Maxim, thank you for joining, my friend.
Yeah, thanks for running. Yeah, glad to hear your voice so loud and clear.
Oh yeah, we finally jumped into modern times with our equipment. So thanks for everyone's patience through my audio issues over the last year or two, but hopefully no more.
No more, yeah. Okay, cool.
All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Enjoy your Friday, everybody, and have a happy and safe weekend. Talk to y'all soon.
Talk to you soon, yeah. Bye-bye.